So I wanted to touch on one last topic on abortion while my mind's still on it. I thought it was a good point to make. Stephen Dubner made the comment that Roe v. Wade was passed to give women more reproductive rights. To my understanding, the Roe v. Wade lawsuit was not inherently about a woman's reproductive rights as much as it was a woman's right to privacy. If you actually look at the case, to my understanding, that's what it was about, and that's why the judges essentially ruled on that. They basically didn't want to address the topic of, is a person in the womb. They basically just deferred to common law, which basically stated that, life's kind of defined at different stages in pregnancy, and essentially deferred it to the states to do what they want, and that's why partial birth abortion was able to be outlawed. So again, Roe v. Wade was more about a woman's right to privacy. Even Jane Doe, I can't remember what her real name was, but when she was going through pushing for the lawsuit or pushing for the right, her intentions were more. She would later come out, and actually she's very pro-life now. I'll put the link on her biography and stuff like that. That she actually felt like she was co-opted by the lawyers to progress this for whatever reason. And she later is a huge advocate for she's a pro-life advocate. She thought she was going along the lines of more of like patient confidentiality. So maybe that was what she said. Now maybe she's lying, but you can only take her for what her word is. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was I hear a lot of people argue that well, we can't legislate when it comes to abortion. They might not like the idea of abortion, but they're like, well, we got to allow it because you can't legislate motives. But then again, the very first part of the podcast on Freakonomics, they're talking about how, essentially other countries were trying to legislate against motives of people why you should have an abortion. So, it's okay. And where do you draw the line? If you already are legislating motives, and if you had the ability to discriminate against your children based upon eye color, hair color, and those kinds of things, how would you legislate that you can't abort? You'd have to know the reasons for why you couldn't do that. That's why, in general, it's kind of a silly argument that you're almost going to have to at some point create that legislation based on motives, and that's going to get inherently nasty. I still don't have a solution, but I still think it should be primarily outlawed, and maybe except for that one case, and that being the life of the woman, and then of course that rare exception, which I don't know how to deal with morally, is if the child is terminally ill, does the parents have the right to manage that child? I guess I will try to address that. The way I would handle that from a moral perspective is you don't take the life of the child in utero, because I say that it goes against hope. What you do, but I am, as far as like how I handle euthanasia and stuff like that, is if the absence of technology to sustain a life. I mean, I'm not saying like don't feed the person and stuff like that, but like if you're on a ventilator, if technology is essentially keeping that person alive solely, and that's where it still becomes a very gray issue and a difficult one to address. But this is where the hinging of my argument is for. If the child's life or any person's life is primarily driven by technology, then I would say either the parent or if this is an adult in this situation, then the spouse or whoever has essentially rights power of attorney can make that decision to remove them from the ventilator. Essentially, you can take your child off of technology that was sustaining their life, and that's the choice of the parents. And so, as hard as that might be, I think that's a safer route than just saying, yeah, allow people to kill their babies because they think they might have a disorder, might be have a disease. So I don't know. There's some more food for thought. Stir up a whole bunch of comments. So anyways, let me know what you think. Thanks.